From the center of the galaxy, this here be ForceCenter show about Star Wars, pop culture, the ultimate adventure, life itself on a Monday live with Star Wars news. I'm Ken Napzok.
That was some good pirate intro. Here be Star Wars. Here be ForceCenter.
Here be Star Wars. You see, laddie. Hey, it's Joseph Scrimshaw, filmmaker extraordinaire. Here.
I forgot my name. Yar, I was too busy with pirates to remember my own name.
You are indeed. As I said, we're here to talk some Star Wars news. And yeah, maybe not as much as other times. That's going to happen. And with Mandalorian and Grogu out and not quite behind us, there's a lot more to talk about that film in terms of some of the things we like doing here, Star Wars themes and connections and things like that. But also we got some news today about the film based on Jon Favreau's comments. So we're going to dive into that in a second. But as always, first, we'd like to remind you that today's show is brought to you by our merch shop on Fourth Wall. Check out our merch store. Pick up a t-shirt to help support the show and represent ForceCenter out in the galaxy. You can go to ForceCenter-shop.fourthwall.com, ForceCenter-shop.fourthwall.com. Pick up a hat. Or you can also head to mine, where I'm wearing my old Team Zoc hat from my Twitch days. That one's still available there. So do it. Help support the show if you want. That way, another way to support is via Patreon. And Joseph, we are announcing a brand new goal.
That is right. We thank everybody who got us to our goal of over 400 paid patrons by the time of the release of Mandalorian and Grogu. Now we're striving for something even more. We would love to get 417 paid patrons by the time of the announcement of the physical media release of Mandalorian and Grogu. So it'll be happening any day now that they announce when they're releasing Mandalorian and Grogu in physical media.
Yeah, that's gonna be exciting. I'm gonna try to pick one up. I think I still need a Rise of Skywalker physical media piece. I think I have everything else. Though all the folks out there pushing for physical media, I agree with you. I hope you're here to help me move all my DVDs and CDs when the time comes. That's the only thing I'll say.
I mean, part of the argument for physical media is to just really help the struggling industry of professional movers.
Yes. Yes, it is. But I do love physical media too. So
yes.
All right. We're going to catch up ourselves. We got a Star Wars questions episode that's going to come out Wednesday. We do some life adventures there, but we want to catch up right here with all of you live. And both of us have been busy. Jen's still busy. Jennifer Landa, of course. Don't forget to follow her. Check her stuff out. She's still working hard. And sends her love as always. But Joseph, my life has been a little more boring than yours, I think.
You always got stuff going on. You have dogs, you got squirrels, you got 3 different jobs. You had a great reel with the work you're doing over on your friend's channel. Some stuff about the voting prowess comparisons between Minnesota and California, my 2 homes. So I was very tickled by that. Yeah, I mean, you got your ASMR channel. Like it's endless excitement over there.
New stock of cards right here to go through. That's great.
Yes. Yeah. So I was like, I don't think I had that many Star Wars adventures, but then I had a great Star Wars adventure last night. So I had made this short horror film called How to Make a Fury Box. It was part of this group I've talked about before called Just Scare Me. And sadly, last night was their last event. They need to take a break and we'll come back like a phoenix at some point. But basic deal was, is this accountability group that got started about 6 years ago, where you sign up to make a short horror film, 6 minutes or less. And if you don't make the deadline, you owe the group $100, and then it gets split up to the people who did make their films on time. So it's really great. Just like, give yourself a deadline. And it was not a competition. It was really good about that. It was like, this is just for all of us to build our skills and have fun. So I did that. There was a screening last night. It went well. I was very happy with it, and I'll put the film out on YouTube eventually. But this happens at a store that Ken knows well, called Blast from the Past in Burbank, it's an old toy store. It's got a lot of great Star Wars stuff. So I like going there anyway. But going there to show a film that I worked on and then be able to buy an action figure if it went well, it's hard to resist. So these are not glorious action figure collections because their Star Wars stock is a little low. But I finally picked up Gus Tours from Force Awakens, the strange action figure choice made for Force Awakens to be like, hey, that little guy in the background with the helmet who's feeling the ships, kids gotta play with him. So I picked up Gus Tours as a treat for having the film go well.
I love that store. I love performing comedy there at our buddy Jeff
Mhm.
Mathe's show because every comic who performs there for the first time, and I was no different, gets on stage and is like, look at all these toys. It's very fun. But hold on, you're saying Blast from the Past Star Wars collection is a little low?
It's
Little low?
it's a little thin right now.
Okay. You tell Larry to answer the goddamn email I sent a month ago saying, I have all these. It's not just my collection, it's Jennifer Muro's collection as well. Buy it. I have sideshows, Funkos, figures. He was like, just email me. He's never returned the email.
Yeah, they had like almost the complete 30th anniversary wave of weirdo figures for a while there, and it was yeah. Anyway, but
Anyway,
I'm the proud parent of Gus Tours now.
as you should be. Has anyone failed to make the films on time in your group?
Oh yeah,
Really?
not a ton, because they're also very lenient of like if something total
Sure.
horrible tragedy happens, they're not gonna
Okay.
I paid the $100 in once because I signed up for it, and then I realized I was actually going to be able to film the feature Dead Media, and I was like, I gotta back out, and I give them the $100 to them.
Okay.
So
There you
somebody had enough money for Gus Tours because of me.
Yes. Gus Tours it is. Gus Tours it is. Well, there you go. Great adventures for you. Less adventurous stuff for me, but hopefully announcing some con appearances soon. I'll be down at San Diego Comic-Con for the first time in 2 years, performing some comedy with Jen Sturger and Mark Ellis. And also for the first time ever, or for the first time in like, I think pre-COVID, actually going into the convention floor. I actually have not been past the train tracks at San Diego Comic-Con since like 2019. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully see you all there. More information coming there. But we, as I apparently choke on my own bile, we got some Star Wars news to talk about.
That is right. Want to grab this comment from our friend Svetnik very quickly, who said, what if there isn't a physical media release of Mandalorian and Grogu? I hope there is, but I feel like the day is coming when there won't be. Yeah, I think that is definitely a concern to be had, but I feel like the track record so far is that films get released, and I think there is still money to be made off the films. I think maybe the television shows are more expensive to put out, and I think I think that maybe there's some push and pull that isn't really about how profitable or not the physical media is, but I think the companies that own streaming are kind of torn about, do we want to release physical media? But I think it does still make money, so I think there will be, and I will be upset if there isn't.
Yeah, I agree with that. And they have to count on lazy people like me who buy the physical media, but then don't get up to put the Blu-ray in and just watch it on streaming, right? So,
yep. Us lazy double dippers. Yep. But speaking of things that would normally be on a physical media release that are now available in theaters, what we're going to talk about today is the Jon Favreau audio commentary available in theaters. So Jon Favreau recorded this audio commentary. It is clear from context clues that he recorded it after the release of the film, and you can listen to it as you watch the film on an app called Theater Ears. I don't know a lot about the actual technological details. I found a great summary on this Disney-themed website called Laughing Place. It's a very thorough list of bullet points of the commentary. So I pulled some out that I thought would be fun to discuss. So this is going to be a spoiler for Jon Favreau's spoiler commentary of The Mandalorian and Grogu. So first, Ken, big picture question for you. What do you think of having a director's commentary right in the movie theater, not on physical media?
I think I like it. I like the idea. I don't know if I'd seek it out. I think it just makes me miss the physical media commentaries that were so prevalent back in the day. I love those. So I definitely, I think I'm interested in the concept. Is it it's kind of like going to a museum, right? And getting the walkabout headphones.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my understanding, that it's on your phone and you got your earbuds and everything. Yeah. And
I would try it.
Yeah, I would try it too. Like when I first saw it, I was like, oh, cool. It's just like a screening. And like, no, you got to download an app, and it's like, I'll wait. But so thanks to Laughing Place for this summary. I just thought it was also just really interesting from a business standpoint. Talked a lot about Mandalorian and Grogu. How is it? It's obviously not a runaway smash, but it's not. I don't think a total failure either. Is my opinion. We talked much more about this on the show on Wednesday. There's the discussion about building fan bases and popularity being sometimes popularity is deep, not wide. And this seems so like, okay, Star Wars in general has a wide fan base, right? But it's the deep fan base that is going to pay to see the movie again, to listen to the director's commentary. And so this seems like an inventive way to say, like, okay, maybe Mandalorian and Grogu is not really making this big splash in the mainstream and widening out as much as we want, but the all-in fans who love it, there's still a depth of love there. So let's convince them to go see it again and listen to it in a different way.
Yeah. No, a lot of people in chat here experienced it. David watched the commentary, confirmed it's just your phone. You listen to your earbuds. Bill of the Force, I did a view with the commentary last Monday. It was so fun.
Nice.
Might do it again tonight.
Awesome. Right. Okay. That's great. Yeah. So, like I said, I just pulled these summaries from this specific website. So if anybody who's actually experienced it has insight, feel free to let us know. Excuse me. A dainty cough. So I organized some of these thoughts, some of these comments from Favreau into categories. So the first category we're going to talk about, Ken, is the Mandalorian himself. Here are some bullet points. Throughout the film, Favreau provided an informative running guide as to which shots of Din Djarin were performed by stand-in Brandon Wayne, stuntman Lateef Crowder, or stunt coordinator J.J. Dashnaw. Favreau said that every shot where you can see actor Pedro Pascal's face in the movie is really him. We didn't do any face replacement, says Jon Favreau. But he also says it was tough work and that Mando's armor is quite heavy when wet. I bet. He also said Ludwig Göransson's music goes a long way to help us understand that the Mando fight sequence after the Anzellan ship leaves is not a triumphant moment. Included that because that's something you and I really both appreciated in the film and talked about. You talked about it quite eloquently, Ken. He also said they made a conscious effort to ensure that Embo did not see Din Djarin's face when the character's helmet was removed in the Hutt twins throne room. So I don't think Jon Favreau, since the release of this film that he put his heart and soul to, has been like, now let me go listen to every podcast. But there are a lot of bullet points where he's like, let me address that.
And I'm just going to say some of them end with the sentence, like ForceCenter said.
The out of this sort of grab bag of details about the Mandalorian himself, what is interesting to you here in why? Any follow-up questions you have for Johnny Favs?
Follow-up questions. Oh man. Yes, it's going to start with some food questions. I love I think I'd watch this whole thing just to do the, that's Brendan, that's Lateef. And then J.J. Dashnaw, who, of course, is in, Book of Boba Fett, is Cobb Vanth's deputy. Because I've always known there's been some other folks in the suit. I might have remembered it was J.J. Dashnaw, but it's a fun game to play that I've even played in theaters or watching the show. That's definitely that's the stride of a Wayne right there. That is Lateef. There was some great fight stuff, and I know they were talking too. I think I saw some interviews out there of Pedro saying, Brendan had to teach me how to walk as the Mandalorian a little bit, and which makes sense. That's just fascinating and fun too. It doesn't necessarily take the magic away from me, just like that there. I think my follow-up question is, so they make this effort with Embo to not see the face. That's just it just shows some of the great intentionality that goes into this and the conversations that aren't just simply call up Dave and see, but just like, hey, we're putting the Mandalorian in this situation. Yes, we also, Pedro is a bankable star. We need to see his peepers at some point. It's not shoehorned. They're just like, how do we do it? How do we do it right? How do we do it what's best for the story? Embo's here. We got to get him out. Because the helmet thing is something that people are concerned about. It's something we're concerned about. It's something, something we want Embo to survive, move on to other stories. That's probably, I'm guessing, Dave's number one rule. But I think just it shows great thought into something that sometimes people think is thrown away.
Yeah, no, I think, yes, one of my favorite things is that, yes, Embo is safe. He's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Mando never had him on Mando might have on, like, I don't like that guy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think all of this, I think, shows an attention to detail and a passion and an awareness of the kinds of questions that fans might ask, and indeed did.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the ongoing clarity on the performance of Mandalorian being a group effort, which has only grown and grown from as sort of like it's buried in the credits in season 1 to Pedro brings him out in Chicago, I think it was.
Anaheim, I think, maybe.
Anaheim. No, you're right. You're right. It was Anaheim because Chicago, it wasn't out yet. In Anaheim in 2022 to huge star billing in the opening credits of The Mandalorian. Huge. And only continuing that with the director's commentary and being like, really, let's show you the magic trick of all these characters. And then also really saying, like, look, we didn't just paste Pedro's head on, some modern day Johnny Weissmuller swimming around. we got Pedro in a tank, and that man put his back into it.
There's a reference, kids.
Sorry.
Right.
The total, old school Johnny Carson. What are you talking about? Reference? Who's Shecky Green? Why do everybody talk about Shecky Green? Which is
you are correct, sir.
But I don't think Favreau has any motivation in this other than just being honest and sharing things I think fans would be interested in and sharing the work that in thought was put into it. But it also feels like to me like it's an interesting thought of how they are. It is right to highlight everybody who goes into Mando, but reading all this almost made me think, like, could they get away with a Mando movie where we don't see Pedro? Or would people riot? Or is building up the truth that this is a group effort, and Pedro's still there. It's still part of a group effort with his fabulous voice acting, and like let's not disregard that,
Yeah.
But what do you think? How would you feel if there was a look, the Mando is made up of many artists. He didn't take the helmet off in this movie,
right? I think I'd be more okay with it than other folks, but also it just makes sense that he's there. But this far along, where we all kind of are aware of the process that goes into making this character, I think I'd be more okay with it just being mask on. But I just I like when we see him.
Yeah, I still, yes, like as we talked about, I want to see him get ready in the morning. I want to see him stare in the mirror and do some touch up on whatever facial hair he has by himself and consider his own face. Does he make eye contact with himself? Amazing. So Favreau also had a lot of great things to say about Grogu. Here is a compilation of things I grabbed. Favreau considers Grogu to be the conscience of the audience. Fascinating. Favreau praised the puppeteers multiple times over for the emotions exhibited by Grogu during the Grogu's World sequence while Mando is in his coma. Their performances bring a humanity to the movie, says Favreau. The echoes of Yoda during the Grogu World sequence were definitely intentional, right down to the walking stick in the design of the hut, with the implication being that this might be what members of Yoda's species build on their home planet. They're just building them huts on Yothon. Favreau came up with Grogu's meditation on set during that day of production, and they got 2 different angles of it using some leftover time. He theorizes that Grogu learned it from Luke Skywalker and might be, quote, continuing Jedi training on his own. The creative team is always careful to maintain Grogu's innocence even as he matures. Favreau is proud of how much intention and tension is shown in the character's puppeteering work during the climax. So where do you go with some of those Grogu thoughts?
Fantastic information, even if it's just kind of hey, we were sitting around and talking about the hut, but that's intentionality. That is awesome. I hope we never get the full answer of where they're all from. I actually hope it continues as long as Star Wars goes. But that's not just a fun little callback to me. That is some interesting information of this is what instinctually Grogu might know to do on many levels. It could be in his DNA. It could just be something he saw. The walking stick and stuff was fun, but I think that's fascinating, and I absolutely love. I think I'd heard this before the episode today, but the hey, we're on set. Let's get some meditation. Love that stuff. That's how you create art, man. That's how you find it. You find stuff in the moment. You go, we're here. Is this inspiring you with this work? You don't want that to spiral out of control, like some of the Gareth Edwards stuff on Rogue One, if what we those stories we heard were true. But I think that's how you create great art. Like what's there, who all these people, the organic feel of it, right? That is something that AI will never do. It's be like, we are here. What about meditation scene? Like that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And I think that's just beautiful.
Yeah, I think the best filmmakers plan and plan and plan, in that that planning gives them the elbow room to find inspiration in the moment. And the fact that they had leftover time, amazing. When I know we saw it in the trailer, but seeing it my first viewing of the film, I remember thinking in my head, like, this is the heart of the film. This shot is like, amongst all of this violence and chaos and pain, this young creature is learning to calm themselves, center themselves, gather courage and strength and perspective for the horrors ahead. Great. The idea that they that the Yaddle species, as I saw somebody advocating, like, let's just call them the Yaddle species. Let's give her due. The Yaddle species. So the idea that the Yaddle species might come from a muddy world, and like just the first thing they do, they're born or fall out of their pods and they just start making little mud huts. I love, because it adds something to Yoda. Of like, we kind of know the story of like, now in canon, we went to Dagobah in his search for the spirit of Qui-Gon Jinn and understanding immortality and all that. It's rich with the Force has been the story for a long time, so he can kind of hide and he's not sensed by anybody searching for him. You add on to that he's just like, but I come from a mud place, and this is just cozy. It's just what I'm used to. It really adds to the slimy mud hole, my home. This is like, you're making fun of my heritage. You're making fun of my culture. It's like,
exactly
you're gonna move to Hawaii and complain about sand. This is our home. This is our culture.
Yeah. You stop visiting here. Give us our country back. Yeah, I think that's spectacular. Also, just I would love to see the footage of Yoda building the hut. It'd have the energy of Siegel Stop It Now, of just like do, just as, like, same how Grogu was making it. That'd be adorable to watch.
Yeah, it's absolutely precious. And I love the seeing that he is continuing what he has learned from Luke, which is the way that read to me. Favreau describing him as the conscience of the audience is really interesting to me, because we know that Grogu is on this journey to become a Mandalorian, and for both Mandalorian and Jedi, violence is a part of their life, is a part of their code. I think the Jedi are even more centered on we really want it to be a last resort. Mandalorians at different times in their culture have been more like, violence is, it's a way we settle things. We see it in the Children of the Watch, like, fight for it, but we see in this film where Din is at least expressing out loud, I want violence to be a last resort. We see Grogu on both a Mandalorian and Jedi path, and Grogu himself not being too violent, even though he knows he is navigating it through lots of conflict. So Favreau talking about Grogu being the conscience makes me feel like some of the themes and the ideas about violence and how and when we use it, and how and when we use power, period, is even, there might be a light touch. We might be invited to dig in ourselves and figure out what we mean, but it feels like it was really, really, really put there on purpose, and it is really one of the core things the film is about. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love what you're doing with that information there, because it's not just that simply Grogu's like our perspective; he's the audience's viewpoint to this world. I think there's some truth to that, but in terms of action, right, and what like watching it, but in terms of what the movie's saying, and the big questions we feel this movie is asking, and that Star Wars has always wrestled with, and that you're putting it in the arms of this still innocent child, right, this childlike character. And it's not just for kids; it's for us to be like, what is the right path? What is the right decisions? What are the right steps when dealing with all this stuff too? What do you do with this? Because it's one thing to have Din Djarin be like, Oh, I don't like violence, and it's a good laugh. It's an important part of the themes as we discussed here, but it's also a great laugh. I think you see that differently through Grogu because it's so much about what is imprinted on the next generation too, as they also learn who they are. It makes me think of the speech in season 1 that we got about the rebuilding of IG-11.
Yeah.
And yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. So the Grogu stuff was great to me, and it makes me really curious to see with future storytelling where Favreau wants to take this conversation about violence and who is Grogu as a Jedi, who is Grogu as a Mandalorian. I'm really excited for. I want to grab a couple comments in the chat. David says, can't remember which, but there was an interview with Favreau where he said that the instinctual hut building came from a conversation he had with George. That's so great. I love it. Just like, just by the way, have them build a hut because it's in their bones. Bill of the Force. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
You know what I love about that? To me, it sounds like one of those things that you're at a party and you're like, hey, George, why did Yoda build a hut? And like 30 minutes later, you're like, okay, good, awesome. I'm gonna go check out the shrimp over there at the snack table. Nice chatting with you, George.
There's at least one interview where he's asked a pretty, kind of straightforward, give me a short answer type question, and he goes off, and his wife Melody is like doing some like hand touching. I'm like, George. So it does make me feel like, like Favreau was like, so I see you got a new Prius. What's the mileage on that? And George is like, they build huts. Instinctually. Bill of the Force says, as a quote rural fan, 2+ hours from a major city, having access to the commentary in my local theater was very much appreciated. It's really great to get these positive reports of enjoying the this commentary. All right. Any other thoughts on the Grogu of it all?
No, it reaffirms just my connection to a lot of what's going on in the center of that film in this so-called Grogu's world. That's amazing. Grogu's world. I love that so much, and I was moved by so much of that sequence, and again going to the Ludwig Göransson music during that non-triumphant moment. Like I just I really connect with that, and so to see the care and intentionality that went into it is cool. That's why I think I love these commentaries.
Yeah, no, and I don't need everybody to love it, and if the film didn't work for them, that's fine. But for me, like, the stakes are personal, and we're watching a child go, hey, can I nurse my dad back to health, or is he gonna die? And I'm alone, and I'm afraid, but I got to get through it. And for me, those are high stakes. Ahaja says, Grogu the Hut builder. Love it.
Yes.
All right. So, Mr. Favreau also talked a lot about the volume versus practical and kind of what was what. So here's some ideas on that topic. The volume, he says, was not used nearly as much on the movie as it was on the show, with Favreau preferring to utilize practical sets whenever possible. Everything in the Hut Twins throne room was shot on the volume, which Favreau says was mostly used for interactive light and framing, with the backgrounds then being replaced digitally in post-production. The cell where Rada stayed was a physical set built in Manhattan Beach alongside a full-size arena where the pit fight takes place. One of the practical Nal Hutta sets was so realistic that a family of raccoons moved into it during production.
I feel that.
And then this is the one that's been getting some travel. It says, while shooting the Razor Crest miniature in the parking lot at Skywalker Ranch, Favreau discovered that the original Red Jammer Y-Wing Starfighter model was being prepared for display at the forthcoming Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. He managed to get George Lucas's permission to use this actual 50-year-old model, which had never before been used in a Star Wars movie, despite being created before VFX production on A New Hope, in shots for the climactic battle sequence. Filmmaker Lee Isaac Chung plays the ship's pilot in the film. So, Ken, we have discussed many years the ups and downs with the old volume, and you are a Y-Wing guy. So this chunk is this is for you.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on volume, Y-Wing? Anywhere you want to go.
Yeah, well, I'll start right. This was where the conversation with George happened. Hey, George, can we use the Red Jammer? Yoda built his huts because that's what he liked. Cool. Can we use the Y-wing? Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, we love George. I can't wait for that museum to open inside 100 days. Yeah, I love everything about this. I think it's I've pulled back a little bit on criticisms of the volume or stagecraft over the years, just because I think it's just become somewhat normal. I still don't. Overall, I love. Actually, I want to say overall, I love it. I love when we've talked about this for years. When you hear actors talking about going on set and doing it, I think it changes the experience of acting in a way that doesn't cheapen the imagination of an actor, but like that Carl Weathers thing of like, we all know what we're looking at, so we all can play the same thing, and that's important stuff. So and quite frankly, I think that if George had kept going with Star Wars, this would have been something that they would have put into play. I believe, as Kathy has said before, at the bottom of the hill, he was trying to build this at Skywalker Ranch. Something like that. So I love it, but also at the same time, I think we're still in that spot of just where it's tactile, where it's you can reach out and see those bricks and screws. I think it does feel different to me. That doesn't mean there's always been magic behind these practical sets, right? It's easy to fall into the trap that King's Landing is real. They built the Red Keep for Game of Thrones. No, they didn't. They didn't. But I like. To me, it also speaks. And David said, there's a quote floating out there before. Where David said, like, we know how to use it, meaning the volume, and we know how not to use it or when not to use it. I'm paraphrasing completely, but he was talking about the process of when it goes from TV to film, and they've gotten better with it, and they had, I think, some setbacks, I think, during the budgetary concerned era of the Kenobi show. You and I have talked about that, where sometimes it definitely doesn't work for me as much as it does in other spots. But I just like Jon, who is very technologically forward and forward thinking and up for trying a lot of new things, still understands or appreciates the value of let's go there. Let's build it. Let's go down the street in my office in Manhattan Beach. Let's go down the street and build this. That's really cool. It also gives me the feeling too, just in a nostalgia kick of thinking about the Phantom Menace and going, well, it was all digital, except for the Boot to Eve racing sequence, was little Q-tips, colored Q-tips in a practical set or practical
massive model,
yeah, massive model. I love that stuff, and it's great for Star Wars. So fun conversation section.
Yeah, I think so. I think. I think Favreau is a guy who embraces technology, but then I think is also like, but he's so like, how do we make this human and relatable and feel alive? And I love the approach to the volume. This is fantastic. It is one of the arrows in our quiver. It is not the entire quiver. And I think like that's like, okay, the focus on using it for interactive lighting, like that's huge to get that. Like, okay, everybody on set is got this correct lighting, and you go back to the Rise of Skywalker documentary where he's talking about all of the things he's going to replace when they're shooting on location in Jordan, and everybody's like, if you're going to replace all this, why did we fly here? It's like, because you can't fake the lighting, so using the volume for lighting, but then I would assume that the replacing the backgrounds is partially, I'm going to guess, for space, because I think that's where the volume doesn't work, is where you can sense like it's not big enough to contain what it looks like it's containing. That's the shots of like the stormtroopers in outside the base in Kenobi, where it's just like you didn't have enough room in the volume for more than like 5 guys. And like at the end of season 1 of Mandalorian, when like there are too many stormtroopers, like there's 6. Like So I wonder if it's addressing some of the scale issues, which is great. Anyway, I think my biggest question from this whole sections is why were the raccoons not thanked in the credits? Come on.
They can be nasty little cussers. I can confirm that recently.
Oh no. I've had some dealings with raccoons when we owned a home in South Minneapolis, and there was a scratching behind our walls. And the animal person who got them to leave without any harm coming to the raccoons. It's like, they can burst through that wall by your bed anytime they want. So nothing to mess with those raccoons.
I tried to get rid of one in my backyard, and it said, "What are you going to do about it?" It literally just turned to me and said, "Try." So, yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Uh, the Y wing thing is
Mhm.
great. I think it's this,
Yeah.
that sort of behind the scenes heritage, that love.
Mhm.
How do you feel about that as a big Y wing fan?
Again, something I just like. We're joking, but I just would like. Did someone come out, John, or were they like moving things around? What's in this box? What is this? Hey, it's the Red Jammer. Oh my god! Like I'm fat. I want a full on doc about this. I want to the day we found the Red Jammer and the calls to George also gets me really excited for the theater. But yeah, I just love those kind of things because to me those are true Easter eggs. As opposed to Darth Vader show up in Rogue One. It's true Easter eggs, and it's just part of the fun of making a Star Wars film or show.
Yeah, and I mean they're both just such fun and charming human beings. I really hope every little bit of that interaction was preserved. Of like,
Mm-hmm.
I know you're really trying to get that museum done, but could I borrow that for a little while? And George being like, yeah, let's talk it over at Sabaro's. Yeah.
Yeah, George is like, I'm at a Ross Dress for Less picking up new hoodies. Melody's got me on this hoodie kick right now. Hey, John, I'm aura farming.
What if Jon Favreau is just off frame in some of those Vanity Fair photos and like, what is George looking at? Oh, he's talking to Favreau about that model.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Some other confirmation of great discussion points among fans about the storied Phil Tippett. Not only did Phil Tippett Studios build and execute the 2 stop-motion droid guards in the Hutt's palace, but the studio also designed and built the miniature set that those 2 characters inhabit. Phil Tippett gets a lot of credit as a creative partner on the movie, even coming up with storyboards for the sequence. So it sounds like Favreau has always spread the love around to all the departments and really highlighted Phil Tippett as not just like hired gun who did the droids, but really had a lot of ownership in that fight and in that sequence. What are your thoughts there?
Absolutely love this. And it's not like Phil Tippett was, out in the pasture, withering away. He was doing a lot of work and then built Phil Tippett Studio and everything. But I just loved it. I love his work already and Skeleton Crew at his studio. But coming back for this and having more to it, he's just one of the people that made all this possible. And he's definitely not unsung, but he is part of the lore and therefore part of the past. And here we are right now in the present, and he's getting a chance to, show new generations of film fans of what can be done. Stop motion is unique, and sometimes you can see it in a good way. Like, oh, it's stop motion, that's awesome. And that might not be what a lot of people are used to in this modern times. I love it. I love it that Phil got to really roll up his sleeves for Star Wars on a film.
I thought it worked so well for those droids.
Great.
It feels right for those droids, and I think that there's a lot of great technology, but it seems like that so much in this movie there was a question of how can we make the technology still feel like a human has touched it. Can we use a model? Can we use authentic lighting? And I think that we can sense those things of like, there's discussion of which CGI is bad and which CGI is good and convincing and all that. And I think sometimes it just can, even if it's really well executed, we can feel that a human didn't physically touch it. And there's something about the way those robots move that feels organic in a good way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, perfect use of it. Yeah, you're right.
So there was a lot of discussion about various influences on the film, both Star Wars and non-Star Wars. First, going to run down a quick list of influences and shout-outs that are not from Star Wars. First we're going to talk about influences from Star Wars and then from not Star Wars. So here are a few things that Favreau highlighted. He said the popular video game Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was used as reference material for what the inside of an AT-AT walker looks like. The droid Gatra was borrowed from the canceled LucasArts video game Star Wars 1313, which would have seen Boba Fett exploring Coruscant underworld. Droid Gatra, of course, has been mentioned and used in modern canon and other places as well, but Origins. The red power barriers on the doors in the pit fight were inspired by the Duel of Fate sequence in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, the laser gates. Star Wars Rise of Skywalker director J.J. Abrams visited the set of The Mandalorian and Grogu to monitor and approve the use of the Anzellan species, which he co-created. Favreau implied that the "big pipe, huh?" line was ad-libbed by Anzellan voice actor Shirley Henderson. Apparently, Dave Filoni calls background characters like Amon from Return of the Jedi peg warmers because their action figures were not as popular, but they like to feature overlooked legacy characters such as the Amani species, which never got their due until this film. The Amani's rolling attack maneuver was based on a fan theory of how that species would move. There are many other mentions in this thorough argument article of places where Favreau was like, this was from this part of Star Wars, this was from this book or this comic or this, really, really shouting out the heritage of Star Wars that is found in this film. So what are your thoughts on any of that, Ken?
Man, it's all fun, and it makes a lot of sense when you hear like, oh yeah, that kind of where they pulled that from and what I thought about that. And I just, love, giving a call to JJ. We're going to use your thing here, man. Come check it out. And what fun that must have been. Shirley Henderson, I think is just wonderful. I love the clips in that Rise of Skywalker doc of her making JJ and everyone crack up on set. I love, again, I think I'm just daydreaming these fantasy interactions. I love that Dave calls them peg warmers, but John's kind of like, hey, what does that mean? Did you ever collect figures? No. I had a few of them, but I was working at the movie theater. I saved them to buy my first car. Yeah. I just love that.
Yeah. I think for me, it is interesting in the sort of the trajectory of Favreau's involvement with Star Wars from the, hey, I'm an original trilogy guy and got some bumps with the prequel, but Dave's talking me into liking them, which he said on a panel at Star Wars Celebration, right? In front of hundreds of Star Wars fans. There's that moment, I think, in the season 1 documentary where Filoni makes reference to a shot from Empire Strikes Back, and Favreau's like, yeah, deep cut.
Yeah. Oh, I love that still. Yeah.
I don't think he means to, but it had a vibe to us of nerd shaming. So now Favreau's been in this world for so long, and he's like, it seems like now he's like, there are resources everywhere. It's built up. Who else has done, hey, we want to show the inside of that ad. Who's done that? Oh, the video game? Awesome. I don't know. There's just kind of a trajectory of like, it's a shared universe, and resources and ideas are everywhere. And he seems into that now.
Yeah, John's always been one of my favorites, and I think one of yours as well. And like we've talked about before, you are surrounded by Favreau lore where you live for the picture screens. This is why he's got Dinner for Five or whatever. I think he's just a fan of all this, of making movies, telling stories. He seems like he's like, I can't believe we get to do this still. Isn't this awesome and fun? And there's just a lot of that went into this film. And I know Star Wars sometimes. And I understand maybe where it comes from, but I just don't like where it goes. Where the conversation of it's too self-referential and everything. Just shut up. Just shut up. Like you don't need to live in a world where you're worried about a monoman keeping Star Wars self-referential. Just enjoy it as water snake creature, and let us enjoy the peg warmer of it all.
I mean, I think everything that we've been talking about, from that model was from A New Hope, like that you don't. That's cool to know if you want to. You don't need to know any of this, right? You don't need to be like, the interiors from Jedi Fallen Order. Like, yeah. The J.J. Abrams stuff makes me happy. I did see that he was thanked in the credits, and I guessed it was because of the Anzellan stuff of just like, we've talked about it. I totally understand if people don't enjoy Rise of Skywalker, but I feel like the internet as a whole has been pretty, like, it's fine. You can think he is a bad filmmaker, but I think every time I see his name come up when I go into the comments, it crosses a line from criticism of film to violent things that should happen to the man, like every time. So that if you don't like the film, that's totally fine. Great. But I feel like maybe it tips into some of the Phantom Menace stuff we've talked about, of like, you're making this about the human rather than disagreement with or disliking of the art and the storytelling. So I'm kind of on
Agreed.
Anytime the man can get a little win,
I'm with you too.
You give it to him, because he's a human being too.
Yeah, who also enjoys what he's doing. It doesn't mean everything is perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
I'm with you. I get really defensive if I hear one more lens flare joke or anything, and I've made them in the past too. I get it. But after a while, you look around, you go, "What are we doing here?" So
Yeah.
I'm with you too.
Yeah. So great for that. Here's the thing I will take issue with. Totally subjective. I love the term peg warmers, and I have used it.
Mhm.
For me, a monoman wasn't a peg warmer because I couldn't find him. I wanted him, and I could not find
Absolutely.
him. He was
Yep.
not a sad lobot. Peg warmer
Yep.
for me, at least when I
Yep.
searched every Walgreens within
Mhm.
50
You're
miles of
right.
Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. I couldn't find him on.
It's kind of a rare character. In fact, years ago now, because time flies, our old buddy Van William, singer-songwriter, rocker Van William, was on a Star Wars Ranked, and we were doing like our favorite background characters before Glup Shido was a term, quite frankly. And his number one was a Mono Man because he's like, it's like no one remembers him. He's never around. I found the figure one time and like at a garage sale or something. It was like the Holy Grail. So I'm with you on that too.
Yeah, yeah, deep cut character for sure. And the figure definitely encouraged love. All right, so Favreau is a movie guy. He loves movies. He
Mm-hmm.
knows a lot about the history of movies, so he had a lot to share about the various influences throughout the film. So here are several. Favreau says that the old boxing, wrestling, and gladiator movies were used as reference for the moon of Shikari, which was intended to resemble 1930s Chicago in design. Ridley Scott's film Blade Runner was also studied for its use of neon lights in a futuristic cityscape. Some exterior scenes for Shikari were shot in downtown Los Angeles, with video walls used to extend the end of the physical location. Favreau cited James Bond and Indiana Jones movies as the inspiration for the opening scene, where we meet up with the Mandalorian and Grogu already on a mission. Fantastic. Favreau confirmed that the shot of the X-Wing starfighters in silhouette was inspired by both Star Wars The Force Awakens and Francis Ford Coppola's Apocalypse Now. The films King Kong, Mighty Joe Young, Jumanji, and Ghostbusters were cited as influences on the scene where the monsters break out and run amok on Shikari. The underground Salt Diner sequence was inspired by the tea shop scene in John Woo's Hard Boiled. Favreau said that this being a practical set allowed the team to feature a lot of interaction with it and do a lot of damage to the surroundings. Very cool. Miyazaki's My Neighbor Totoro was confirmed as the inspiration for the shot in which Grogu is sleeping on top of Rod of the Hut. And this is one I believe you explicitly said, Ken. Jim Henson's puppet-heavy filmmaking, specifically The Dark Crystal, was cited as a huge influence on the Grogu's World sequence. I think there are even more of these. These are the ones I grabbed. So what are your thoughts on Johnny Fav's listing so many different inspirations in building the story?
Yeah, and I know people are going to add the sequence. The beginning was also Top Gun for the credits and everything, and that was fun too. Again, this is just fun stuff. I some of it was obvious, some of it was not as much for me. I'm not steeped in Miyazaki films as other people might be, or John Woo films, but it makes a lot of sense. And the Chicago of it all, that's where we got a gangster kind of underworld planet. Where are we going to go? Chicago would be it. The Muppet stuff was clear, and that's why I had said it wasn't just me, and I'm not the only one to point out the Muppet-like nature of it, but I specifically said a Muppet film in the 70s, which is not to disparage Muppets Take Manhattan, which was in the 80s, and I think the great Muppet Capers early 80s too. Just that the spirit behind it, where Henson and his wonderful team hit on the true emotions of these characters, and it had whimsy and wonder, and it wasn't just, hey, look at us, what we can do. It's what can we make happen with these characters, and how can you connect with them when someone's got their hand up, Kermit. you know what's going on, but you hear those stories of people seeing Kermit sitting on the set and reacting to it. You've heard that with Grogu on set. Like I forgot he's what he is. And I think that translated so well. It was my favorite kind of reference and inspiration in the film.
Yeah, and obviously the Muppet movies are great at mining deep emotion. But I remember the Dark Crystal being like, it did remind me of what's going on in the Grogu's World section of like we're in this kind of weird, deep, ancient fantasy place in a world, and we're watching these things we know are puppets. But they get to this depth of emotion that's scary. There are parts of Dark Crystal that freaked me out when I was a kid. I mean,
I've never seen it again. I saw it once. We're done.
My mother became obsessed with the machine that the Skeksis had to drain energy. She couldn't say Skeksy though, so she would constantly say like, "It's like my energy is being drained by one of those sexies." Like, Mom, please.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Gary.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is such great tradition of Star Wars has always been making something entirely original and unique by pulling from all of these things that are loved and that are known. And, you know, just you get into these conversations of it's just Flash Gordon, it's just Dune, it's just Joseph Campbell myths. Like, it's all of those filtered through this collection of artists who lived at that time and made it into its own thing with its own feeling that isn't like anything else. And I think that is one of the things I like about Mandalorian and Grogu. There's just a vibe that film draws you in, and it's Star Wars, and so many people shouted out all of these individual references, and great to have him, not references, inspirations, but all these inspirations come together in this stew that becomes its own thing that has this, like, I know I'm going to go to watch Mandalorian and Grogu when I have it on Blu-ray because it's a specific feeling that isn't quite like anything else, not even the Mandalorian and Grogu television shows. It's so fun and so heartwarming with this also just kind of fear of loss and fear of violence. And it's just got this really unique feel that was built from everything from Hard Boiled to My Neighbor Totoro coming together. You know, I think that's really awesome.
Yeah, I keep saying it fun, and it's a fun film, and it shows. But I love this kind of stuff, and this I think is with most filmmakers. I'm sure when we get the director's commentary in Dead Media, you will have similar things too. Of like, this is what I want to do. I was inspired by this. It doesn't mean you went like, just give me that. It just means you're like, that moved me when I was growing up, and I wanted to kind of capture the vibe there too. That's just kind of how you do this kind of stuff. And Jon is a leader in that, and steeped in the knowledge of film, and it again, it really truly shows. And why maybe I get a little defensive even off air on some things of like, hey, it was just Space Chicago. Yeah, exactly. Ding ding ding, a winner. Like, how fun is that?
Yeah.
You've never sat and created anything, have you? Like, you've never had fun creating art. I think that's why over these years I've just gotten more and more grouchy about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't remember who in our chat at one point, one of our Mando and Grogu chats, you know, was like, it's not just the James Bond intro. It's then he goes and sees M, Colonel Ward, who gives him both a mission and a moral lecture. He goes on a mission and he thinks he won, but whoops, nope, and like gets injured and has to fight back. Yeah. Anyway,
I'm with you.
So I love that. I think I assume that they're going to put this commentary on the Blu-ray, but if there is another commentary, or if there's even more bonus features, I would love someone to interview Favreau and go, great, you're steeped in film history, you're a film lover, these are moments that spoke to you. When you look at the film, what are moments that feel like that's a Favreau shot? Years from now, somebody might go, I'm going to do that shot that Favreau did in Mandalorian and Grogu. Like, I'm really curious to see how he sees. He talks a lot about individual stories, and he talks a lot about all of his creative partners, and he talks a lot about history. And you read, you risk a certain pomposity to be like, and then this is, of course, my individual stamp. So it'd be interesting to see somebody from the outside go, what parts of this do you feel like it's that way in the movie because you made the movie in this moment, in this time? What parts of yourself did you put into it? And he's talked about family stuff, but like
family stuff. Yeah.
As a film historian, I would love him to look at it and go like, this shot or this montage that feels like me.
Yeah. I'm sure you could get that out of him over a dinner and some cameras rolling, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I like that he wouldn't come out and proclaim it himself too. That's what I like about him. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Maybe the close-ups of the food being prepared.
I mean, definitely. That's probably where he'd go to. You know, I wanted to make a reference to Chef and the food I love. Yeah.
Yep. Bill of the Force says, in the commentary, he mentions the time-lapse shot is something he had done previously in Lion King. That's really cool. That's great. I'm glad to know that he is having some of those thoughts. Thank you. Here is the final thing I pulled. Again, there's so much that we could have talked about in this long list. Favreau says, Embo's weapon is intended to be a bowcaster that breaks in two to become the melee weapons we see him using. And Favreau regrets not making this more explicitly clear in the film. What does it mean to you, Ken, that even and there's a couple of these. I pulled this one because it made me laugh, but he talks at one point about a ship that he really wanted to have this extreme angle, and the angle wasn't quite as extreme as he wanted it. With big budget, big team, lots of control, not a lot of studio heads coming in and going, you got to do it this way. That he still was watching this film going, yeah, I could have tweaked that. What does that make you feel?
I mean, it means that George ain't the only one, right? I don't know if art is complete. You just eventually have a timeline or a deadline to get it out on. I know you're experiencing that right now. I'm sure you are. Every joke clip I post, I'm like, God, that was horrible. I could have done. There's 15 other things I could have done in that moment. Just the way of it, the way of the human brain, and also, again, joy for it, and that Embo wasn't just a fun reference. I love, again, I will say again, how they used Embo and how you can come out of that theater not knowing really, that's Embo with his dog, second dog. You don't need to know any of that. You got what he was. You got what he was. It was a great use of it. But then behind that, there's just some, but we had a lot of things for the character. And you know what? I didn't pay its respects, this bowcaster that breaks into two weapons. I think that's fun. I think that's great stuff.
Yeah. I think it's relatable that you are, you're balancing so many big picture things, so many details, and you're like, this shot moves. This is the shot that clarifies that thing that I wanted to clarify, but the film flows better without that shot, and I think Bill of the Force is highlighting the exact thing that I was going to say. So similar minds. The Ben Burt quote, and it is a documentary from Attack the Clones production that you can pull up on YouTube. I've watched it like 2 times in the last year. Films are not released; they escape. Great, a great truth and a great attitude. So, and if anybody hasn't watched that doc in a while, it's great. It's really, really great. So I highly recommend going to check that out. Any other big picture thoughts on this commentary?
I will maybe seek out how to see this kind of screening, or hopefully it is on physical media and released. And sometimes they have done it on Disney Plus in the extras section. They did it was just the score version of Last Jedi, which was great and fun and everything like that. So look for that. I do want to experience it. There's great stuff. And again, that's one of the things we love about Johnny Fabs. He just has that, like, let's sit around and talk. I'm going to talk a lot. He does do that. I might cut you off a little bit, Kathy, but I got some things to say, but it's all good with good intentions. And again, a lot of fun and love went into this film. It doesn't mean you have to love it out there listening. Doesn't mean it has to be the biggest box office smash. We discussed that in more detail on Wednesday, but I'm there for that, and that's going to stand the test of time more than anything else.
Last thing for me, I want to grab this kind super chat that came in from Master Fonz. Hey guys, I love Mando and Grogu. Saw it 3 times. Favreau knows how to have fun with Star Wars. Yep, I agree. I've been hearing that a lot from folks, that it is a very fun film. I think it is a very fun film, and it also has stuff to chew on if you want to chew, or you can just enjoy hut building. That's all.
I do. I want to see it again.
I do. Oh God, the patting down. Yeah, we'll see if we have time. I hope it stays in the theater for a couple more weeks. I would love to be able to see it again.
Same. Love it. All right. I think that's about it today. If you got any, I don't think you see any specific questions out there. We do appreciate the super chats, helping support the show. We will be back with the Star Wars questions episode on Wednesday, live on Friday again with ForceCenter now. And thank you all. We really value our community. It is what this show has always been about, and it's even more so since we go live and take your calls and all that good stuff. So thank you all. That's it for me on my end. You, sir.
Yeah, you can find me on all the social media at Joseph Scrimshaw. Watch for more news about the theatrical roadshow for our horror feature film, Dead Media. It should be coming hopefully soon. And you can also check out my YouTube channel to see a lot of the short films that I have been working on. That's it for me.
That's it for Joseph. Follow me at Ken Napzok. I am going to, and kennapzok.com from website. I'm going to be at Comic-Con on Jen Sturger and Mark Ellis's comedy show down there at the Gaslamp Thursday night. More information to come. So if you're down there, love to see you there. Follow us on social media at ForceCenter Pod. We're available as a podcast everywhere. Search and you'll find us. Merch available at TeePublic and the aforementioned Fourth Wall. You can support us directly at patreon.com/ForceCenter. That is it, my friends. We'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.